Okay, so today the ultimate goal of our lesson is to figure out how to divide fractions. That's the goal. But I want to do a quick fraction review first so that we make sure that everybody understands and remembers all the basic functions of those fractions, okay? So let's take a look at page 21 in your MSG. We start with what is a fraction? And a fraction is just a part of the whole. We've been talking about how the top number tells me how many pieces I have. The bottom tells me how many pieces I need to make a whole. That's what a fraction is. Part to whole. Okay. The top number of a fraction is always called a what? A numerator. And the bottom part of my fraction is always called a what? Denominator. And you can see there's an example here. So you can see where they belong, okay? And think about it as, well, it's a fraction. Think about numerator, denominator, ND. And you can make up any sort of, like knots. Let's see, knots. What? Not dead. That's awesome. Let's not be dead. Not when we're doing fractions. Not Dean. Not Dean today. That's how you can remember it in that order, okay? An improper fraction, okay? It has a number that is larger, a numerator here, that's larger than the denominator. So if you have an improper fraction, it's just got a bigger numerator. What does that mean? It means I have more pieces than I need to make a whole, okay? And a mixed number has both a whole number and a fraction. It means I've got a couple of holes in there, but I don't have enough pieces to make another one, okay? You can make any whole number into a fraction by putting it over what number? 1. Don't forget that. If you've got the number 5, you can turn that into a fraction by placing it over a number 1. Okay, because 5 divided by 1 is still what, guys? 5. And when the numerator and the denominator are the same, it always equals what? 1. Right? If I needed 5 pieces to make a whole, and I have 5 pieces, how many holes do I have? 1. That's what that means. If the numerator is, this means greater than, okay? If the numerator is greater than, bigger than the denominator, the fraction's value is going to be bigger than 1, right? If I've got more pieces than I needed to make one whole, my value is going to be more than 1. If the denominator is greater, so if that's the bigger one, then the fraction's value is less than 1, right? Because I don't have enough to make a whole group, okay? And then the fraction bar shows division. So this little guy right here is equivalent to this, which is equivalent to that. They're all the same symbols. They all mean the same thing. So even though we think of a fraction as something very separate, fractions are division. It's saying take 4 and divide it by 2. Okay? That's just a basic rundown. Any questions on the review of fractions? Alrighty. If you guys turn to the next page. We're going to only spend a minute because I think you guys are pretty good on this, but I'm going to show you a simple example and why it works, and then we're going to move on. This first one is changing a mixed number to an improper fraction. So let me ask you guys a question. We got a mixed number here. How many pieces do I need to make a whole in this group?
2 more.
No, how many pieces, like what is this grouping telling me? How many pieces make a whole? 3, right? 3. How many holes do I have here? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Arthur? 4. So in that 4 group of holes, if each hole has 3 pieces, how many pieces will that be? So if I've got 4 holes, yeah, each one needs 3 pieces. I will get 12 pieces total, right? And how many extra pieces do I have here? 1. That's where that 13 comes from. So the reason that we multiply and then we add is that 4 holes times the 3 pieces for each hole get me the 12 pieces, and I have an extra one. These are the leftovers. That's why we multiply and then we add, okay? So then your numerator becomes how many pieces I have all together, and the denominator is still how many pieces I would need to make a whole, okay? So for example, if I've got 5 and 1 6, and we want to convert it, so you'll see that I can fill 1, that's 5. I mean, that's 1 hole, 2 holes, 3, 4, and 5. Plus I have how many 6 left over? 1. All right, so if I do that, each of these is how many pieces?
6.
So 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's why we multiply. 6 times 5 plus the extra one. So how many, what's my numerator going to be?
31.
You got it, 31. And how many pieces do I need to make a whole? 6. Do me a favor, just do questions number 1 and 2 for me. When you've got the answer, if you'll stand up real quick, I'll know you're done.
At
What do you need, honey? You left your MSG in your backpack? Jayla, I've already sent you once, honey. I need your agenda so I can sign your bathroom pass. All right. When you've got numbers 1 and 2, stand up. Yep. Because we're going to move on from here as long as we got it. Yes. It says convert the mixed number to improper fractions. When you've got 1 and 2, just stand up for me. It's okay, but you got to be more on the ball. You can't put your stuff on the desk because we're recording, okay? Listen, you guys are new. We're going to have those kind of days. Oops, not there. You get 3 locker breaks. Use it. Just make sure you get organized so you don't forget to bring it next time, okay? All right. We're almost there. We're just changing these 2 problems into an improper fraction. When you got it, stand up. And look at the algorithm at the top of the page if you're struggling. First we multiply, then we add, keep the denominator. All right? So, what do we do here, guys? 2 times 3, which is what?
6.
Plus 1?
7.
So this is 7 halves. Okay? And over here, 2 times 3?
6.
Plus 1?
7.
7 what? Okay, have a seat. Is there anybody in here who doesn't understand that basic? Oh, yeah. You guys know we're in lane 10. Let's go on out. Let's go. You can't stop for that. You gotta go. You gotta go. Go. Silent. Shut my door behind you. Turn off the lights. as soon as Luke gets back. But that is something you're supposed to do during FLT or during homeroom, right? All right. It is still recording, so I'm going to stop it and I'll start it again and I'll splice them together or something. We'll see. Isn't that awesome?